How's everything else feel?
While on location for the program you're about to see, actress Sarah Bullock was having makeup applied to her hand. Suddenly, she lost consciousness. Paramedics were immediately summoned.
She was unresponsive for about 30 to 45 seconds. Struck the back of her head. She's got a small laceration to the back of her head, which has stopped bleeding.
Where'd she fall at?
Right here.
Just hit the floor then?
She's a little hungry, a little sleepy. She's not sick to her stomach. Blood sugar is 130.
Medical emergencies often strike without warning. With foreknowledge, however, they need not become tragedies. This program has been designed to help prevent many common emergencies and to give you the information you need if they do occur. If you've done any babysitting recently, you may have given some thought to how much your world has expanded since you've been a child. For instance, as the years have passed, you've undoubtedly been given a lot more responsibility. So much so that now you've even been entrusted with the safety of another individual. Looking after someone else's well-being does involve a lot of responsibility. Looking after your own does too. And in all likelihood, you do look out for your own safety now, or at least a large portion of it. Also, you probably get out on your own a lot more than when you were a child. Undoubtedly, you get out more with others too, to participate in athletic contests, for instance. You may go to a friend's house to study with classmates, head over to the mall to shop, or grab a bite to eat at a fast food restaurant. Now, let's suppose that one of your friends is famished and begins to wolf down his hot dog, when suddenly he clutches his neck. Something's stuck in his throat. If your friend can still cough, talk, and breathe, his airway is only partially blocked.
Come on, cough it up. Come on, you gotta get it out.
You should encourage him to cough up whatever is in his airway.
Come on, dude, cough it up.
If your friend can't cough or speak, his airway is completely blocked. Don't panic. Tell someone nearby to call for help.
Come on, go call 911, all right? Get an ambulance out here.
While help is summoned, stand behind your friend and place one of your feet between his legs. That way, you'll be able to slide him gently to the floor in case he passes out. Next, find your friend's navel with one hand, make a fist with the other, and place the thumb side of your fist against his abdomen, just above his navel. Then, grasp that fist with the hand you used to find his navel and give quick inward-upward thrusts. Each thrust is an attempt to remove the object lodged in your friend's throat. If he passes out, you'll need to lower him gently to the floor for another procedure. Start by placing one hand under his chin and the other on his forehead. Tilt his head back and lift his chin until his teeth almost touch. Listen for any breathing. If he's still not breathing normally, pinch his nose and cover his mouth with yours. Breathe out 2 full breaths. If the air still doesn't go in, you'll need to administer more abdominal thrusts. So straddle the victim's legs and place the heel of one of your hands on his abdomen, just above his navel. Put your other hand on top and push upward and inward 5 times. When you've finished with 5 thrusts, it's time to move back to your friend's head. Tilt it back as before. Reach your thumb into his mouth to hold down his tongue, and then reach in with your other hand's index finger, formed as a hook, and try to sweep out any foreign objects that have been dislodged. Once again, tilt your friend's head backward, pinch his nose, and breathe into his mouth twice. You'll repeat the breathing, thrusting, and sweeping procedures until your friend starts breathing or until help arrives. Choking can happen at any time and at any place someone is eating, even at a party. In fact, if there are any alcoholic beverages consumed at the gathering, there's a greater risk of choking because alcohol dulls the nerves that aid in swallowing. And of course, there are other safety issues involved in teen drinking. For instance, deaths due to alcohol poisoning, drinking too much, too fast, claim hundreds of teen victims every year. Serious auto accidents in which young people have been killed numbered almost 10,000 during the past decade. So putting alcohol into your system, no surprise here, isn't safe. Neither is smoking marijuana, which also negatively affects your senses. So an important guideline for teen safety is keep alcohol, marijuana, and all other unprescribed drugs out of your body.
I hear it all the time, okay?
Sure you do. But hey, there must be a reason. Actually, there are untold thousands of them. And untold thousands more, most of whom said to themselves, "That won't ever happen to me." But it did. Moreover, if and when it does happen, it short-circuits a lot of those great times you can have participating in the activities you enjoy. And that brings us to another point. Always wear recommended safety equipment, especially helmets when skating, skateboarding, and bike riding. Elbow guards and knee pads are other essentials that may very well keep you from a visit to the emergency room. Learning and following bicycle safety rules probably will help too. That means obeying all traffic signs and signals, of course. Stop signs and lights, yield signs, railroad crossing gates, and so on. It also means having all your senses available to you, including your hearing. So put away those headphones to your CD or cassette player or your radio when you're bike riding, skateboarding, or skating. If you can't hear horns, vehicles, or people approaching, you're not riding safely. Now, you probably know to ride on the side of the road with the traffic flow, not against it, right? But do you know why? Well, drivers naturally look on their side of the road for bikes and other vehicles. And of course you should use hand signals to tell those motorists and pedestrians what you intend to do, because the reaction time of some drivers may be relatively slow. You should never pass on a car's right either. It may be turning in that direction, and as a consequence, you could be hit. Again, and this does bear repeating, never pass on the right. You also should be on the lookout for road hazards, stones, gravel, ice, or other road debris, as well as train tracks and parallel slatted grates, which you should cross at right angles. That way your tires won't be caught in the grooves. Staying clear of storm sewer openings will also prevent mishaps. Other important bicycle safety considerations include keeping both hands positioned to brake immediately, wearing bright clothing so you can be seen easily, and keeping all your bike equipment, including brakes and lights, in good working order by having a technician immediately take care of any problems and by having regular maintenance. Finally, you should never double ride, which makes bikes unsteady and therefore unsafe. So here are some outdoor safety guidelines for your consideration. When biking, skateboarding, inline skating, or participating in similar activities, always wear a helmet and possibly knee pads and elbow guards. Keep your equipment in good working order, and learn and follow all the safety rules. Of course, even if you act safely, accidents such as scrapes, cuts, and punctures do happen. When they do, some simple first aid measures are in order. The most important is to thoroughly clean the wound with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, being careful to remove any foreign material, such as dirt or bits of grass, that might lead to an infection. You can apply a first aid ointment also, if the cut or scrape is superficial. But it's not a good idea to use an ointment on hands or feet for more than a day, because ointments can delay healing in those areas. In addition, your wound should be covered with a bandage, either a bandage strip or gauze taped over the scrape, cut, or puncture. And you should continue washing the wound gently with soap and water every day, again for at least 20 seconds each time until it's healed. Obviously, a trip to the doctor or an emergency room is required when the wound is more than minor, when gluing, stapling, or stitching may be needed. If there's a yellowish or yellow-greenish fluid draining from your wound, or if it becomes red, swollen, warm, or increasingly painful, an infection has set in, and you'll need professional medical attention. If you have any red streaking on your skin near the wound, that may indicate an especially serious infection, and you should go immediately to your doctor or to the emergency room. There are many excellent websites that can give individuals more detailed information on cuts, scrapes, and punctures. Checking out those sites may not be a bad idea if you've got one of those injuries. Now, as long as we're discussing online matters, let's talk a little bit about online safety. If you enjoy hooking up with others in a chat room or through email or on an online bulletin board, you know you've got lots of company out there. And while most cyberspace users are fine, upstanding citizens, regrettably, some are not. They're not the kind of individuals with whom you would care to associate. But in cyberspace, of course, there's no way for you to know for certain. So here are some ways to avoid getting into a dangerous situation over the net. First, always use a handle or your first name, but never your full name when you're online. Second, never give out your phone number or address. Next, never email your picture to someone you don't know, someone you've met online. Finally, never meet in person an individual with whom you've chatted online. Be especially wary of an online acquaintance who constantly tries to meet you in person and doesn't want you to bring along an adult or a friend. That should be a warning signal, enough for you to click off that person for good.
Goodbye.
Now, let's turn our attention elsewhere. Not many of us think a lot about household safety, but it's important because more people are injured in household accidents every year than in any other way. If you're cooking on an open flame appliance, be sure to pull up or roll up your sleeves. And don't wear loose-fitting clothing because both can catch fire on open flames. You'll need to be careful when picking up pot covers, too. They should be taken off slowly, facing away from you, so the steam won't rush into your face and possibly burn you. Pot and pan handles that stick out beyond the edge of the stove should be turned inward. If they aren't, they can be bumped, causing spills and possibly burns. If you are burned, the first thing you should do is cool the injury for several minutes, preferably by running cool water over it. If the burn is minor, if there's no blistering, you'll need to gently pat it dry and then apply an antiseptic liquid or antibiotic cream that can be bought over the counter in most drugstores. But you should not use butter, cooking oils, or ice on a burn. They're old folk remedies that can cause more harm than good. Now, let's move on to first aid for household electrical burns, which may occur when a person hasn't been careful enough to unplug an appliance when attempting to fix it. Electrical burns may be external, but they can be internal also, and so can't be seen. Any significant electrical burn, anything beyond a mild shock, should be checked by a physician immediately.
Are you okay? Let me call Dr. Jones.
Okay, let's take a look at the eye.
That could be either your own doctor
Looks
or one at a
good.
nearby emergency room. Of course, all electrical appliances merit careful handling. They are inherently dangerous. And as you undoubtedly know, overloaded circuits can be very dangerous too, because they can overheat and start fires. Cut, frayed, and broken cords are dangerous also. Obviously, they can shock you, and as with overloaded circuits, can start fires. Speaking of fires, every family should have an emergency exit plan, a way to get outside in case there's a fire. And they should know what to do before leaving a room, too. Touching the door with the back of your hand will help you make certain that flames aren't right outside the door. It's an important cautionary measure, because if fire is there, you'll have to get out another way. Crawling beneath the smoke, which you can practice, can be a good way to get outside when your house is on fire. Smoke is just as dangerous as fire. Does your home have a fire extinguisher? If not, it should. It should have one or more smoke detectors also, at least one on each level. By the way, if you use a ladder for household chores, someone should be nearby to make certain it stays balanced. Moreover, goggles, gloves, or other safety clothing and equipment are always recommended when you use electrically powered tools and sharp instruments. As we've mentioned, all electrical appliances need to be handled with caution. Hair dryers are best left in the bedroom, where there's probably no water around. Water and electricity are a deadly mix. If you like to keep the radio on while you shower or bathe, use one powered by batteries, not one you have to plug in. In short, then, growing up often means taking on more responsibility for your personal safety and well-being, and, in an emergency, for the safety and well-being of others. Your personal safety means following safety rules, wearing proper clothing, staying away from alcohol and other drugs, knowing what personal first aid procedures to follow for minor injuries, keeping your anonymity when online, as well as refusing to meet online acquaintances, and being careful around the house, especially around open flames and electrical appliances. Do those few things, and you'll be on the pathway to living a long, safe, and healthy life. If you were wondering what happened to Sarah Bullock, who you met at the beginning of this program, she was wheeled to a hospital emergency room in an adjoining building. Her head injury required 4 staples. She is now completely recovered, and to date has not had any more fainting spells.